So it is my pleasure to be with the one and only Michael Holmes. He is the face, the host, the organizer, the man behind the scenes, the director of content here at the Homebuilding and Renovating Show, which has been running now for how long, Michael?
Over 30 years.
Over
and I've been at all of them, so it's making me feel quite old today.
Well, you've aged well through it, Michael.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. Thank you.
So, you are here in many capacities, but the main two that the people are going to see that are visiting the show today are either as Ask the Expert, so this is where we do the 15-minute one-to-ones, or you are going to be in your speaker capacity in the seminar theatre, and you have two themes that you're going to be speaking on.
I do. I open the show with the first session today at 10:30.
Yep.
That's a beginner's guide to building your own home.
Yep.
And then I close the show at 4 o'clock with the 45 minutes on adding space and value to your home for the renovators. So I cover the self-builders at the beginning of the day,
Yep.
especially the first-timers who are wondering whether or not self-build is something for them or not.
Yeah.
Although this morning, more than half the audience already had a plot, so
really?
they're clearly very serious.
Oh, wow.
And then I close the day with people who are planning on extending, remodeling, or improving the home they're already in.
So I like that. So we're in both camps. We're in
This
the
show-
ones that are just going for it, and the ones that can't quite afford to do that, but we can improve what we've got.
And many self-builders start renovating like I did,
Yes.
and then go on to build your own home. So yeah, it's home building and renovating. It covers everything from self-build, which could be DIY self-build, through to handing it over to architects, builders, so the hands-off approach, right the way through to every form of home improvement, from I want to give my home a makeover, new kitchens, new bathrooms, new flooring, new look, through to we want to gut the place, extend it, remodel it, and effectively create a new home, but from an existing property.
Okay, so this is where the wives go, please.
It very often is a project led by one half of the household.
Yeah, okay. I want to know, how did this start though? So it's got an amazing presence in the industry 30 years on, and you are covering so many different aspects of this cycle of property and renovating and home improving. But how did it actually start? Because you just gave us a little snippet there to say that you started your personal journey. But how did the exhibition journey start and getting it out there to the public?
So the first ever show I actually worked on, it was actually by a different organisation, but that was back in 1990.
Wow.
And it was the self-build show, national self-build show, and it was the first time anybody had ever run an exhibition for people who want to build their own home. Now, this isn't a new concept. People have been building their own homes since the first person ever put some stones together and put a roof over their head.
Yeah.
But in this country, at some point, largely after the Second World War, when we needed an awful lot of housing quickly because the country was in ruins, the big house builders stepped in and stepped up to the mark and mass built housing along with local authorities. But people were still building their own individual home. But it tended to be that the big house builders took over, the planning system became more restricted, and so it became much harder to build your own home.
Okay.
And then during the 80s, the 90s, it started to grow and sort of rekindle. People started saying, well, I don't necessarily want what the developers are building. I already own a big garden. I want to build a house in my garden. And so those people started looking at this. It started to become quite an important part of the building sector. And then somebody realized that, well, all these people are building it and they've got no way of finding out the information. Where do they go? And that's where the first self-build magazines and the first self-build shows started.
Right.
Well before television started thinking, this is an interesting area. And of course, once television got into property shows, and I started to do property shows as well in my early 30s. Channel 5 was one of the first to do property shows. And they grew and grew and grew until we got Grand Designs, of course. And Grand Designs,
That's my guilty pleasure.
it kind of made self-build mainstream, so that now about 60% of all adults say, I'd like to build a home at some stage in my life. It's a dream that everybody on the street, most adults have a dream that, maybe one day I'd like to build my own home.
Most definitely. And so you got involved, and you were involved in the early stages then of the exhibition, and then so did you take it on? Did you start to see, oh, we can adapt this with your knowledge and experience within the TV and the media as well?
Yes, so very quickly we realized that people were coming to this, they were interested in just coming to meet the exhibitors, coming to see what they could build, to meet designers, to meet builders, to find out the latest technology for the home. But we also realized that they were really hungry for information.
Yeah.
And so first of all, we started with one program of seminars. Our national show now has 3 programs of seminars running throughout every day of the show.
Oh, and where's that?
That one is at the NEC in Birmingham, and it happens the end of March, beginning of April every year. And we have a seminar stage just for self-build, a seminar just for renovators and home improvers, and then a seminar program of masterclasses, which are quite specialist into things like underfloor heating or solar power. So you've got much more detailed information. So the big stages tend to cover the grand subjects like, beginner's guide to self-build or a guide to heating your home and saving, energy efficiency. But the masterclass goes into much more detail about, understanding what a heat pump is. We've all heard about heat pumps on the news. The government want us all to change from boilers to heat pumps. Well, what is a heat pump? Come to the show and you can meet the manufacturers and you can find out exactly what a heat pump is.
And be scared no more.
Well, it's still scary because they're expensive, but they are fantastic technology. I mean, when I first heard about heat pumps and they said, you put 1 kilowatt in and you get 4 kilowatts out, I said, that sounds like magic to me. It sounds like something else as well, because that can't be true. You can't create energy. Anybody who did the most basic science at school, you can't make energy. But very cleverly, it does. Basically, it unlocks the latent energy in the air. So moisture has energy in it. If you condense that, you take the energy out. So 1 kilowatt in a heat pump gets 4 kilowatts, up to 4 kilowatts of heat out into your house. 4 times the value for every kilowatt of electricity you buy.
Now that bit I can
brilliant.
understand. I like that bit. I'm not going to get too concerned, and I'm not going to let myself get confused with the bit that happens in the middle.
Don't worry about that. But actually, it's as simple as a fridge in reverse. Same technology as a fridge. A fridge sits in your room and chills your food.
Yes.
Have you ever felt the grid at the back?
Hot.
That's a heat pump.
There we go. Winning, Michael, winning.
The other way around, though. You make your house hot, not cool.
So how's it been for you doing the one-to-ones? I'm sure you've had many different scenarios placed in front of you.
Yeah, I love it.
What's that like?
Absolutely love it. Just getting people come here and they've sort of got ideas and they just want the reassurance that what they're doing is the right thing. Or they come out here and they're completely confused. They usually had the right idea and then somebody told them something else and somebody told them they couldn't do this or that.
Right.
And then they start exploring all the other options and they end up completely confused as the right way to go. And then we sit down and we just go through it, a bit like, you remember the Rubik's Cube or a puzzle like that. There's one or two ways to get to the same solution.
Yeah.
Usually there's one optimum solution for a house. Rarely there's a second or third option, but actually people tend to know what they want to achieve and you just have to help them find their way there. And there are basic rules, and if you've done it often enough, as I have over 30 years, you know those rules, you apply them to the property and it starts to unpick the knot, and then they think, all right. That's exactly what I wanted in the first place.
Really?
Usually. And then, it's most people have a really good instinct.
Okay.
Really good instinct. They just need to have a bit more faith and courage to follow their instinct.
Say that. Do you think they're a bit afraid to commit?
Yeah, because they don't know, do they? And there's so many experts out there telling them one thing or another. They like to hear that, you're on the right lines.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are clueless, of course, as well. And they just need some help. But, it's wonderful to see people come here with plans and dreams and ideas, and then 15 minutes with them, and actually they walk away thinking, great, this was worth coming here today. And it's not just me, we've got lots of experts here who say the same thing, just that 15 minutes made it worth the journey coming to the show.
And that's the gold. That, for me, that is the gold in this.
It is why the people who come early and queue up and almost run to get the appointments, because they are gold dust.
It was literally
and the appointments do go very early on, so anybody coming to the shows, if you want to guarantee an appointment with an expert, make sure you come early to the show to get your slot.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it on that day, maybe come back the next day. You can come back a second day for free, and you can then get the appointment you want with the experts. So they are, hugely valued.
Yeah, and they are all booked out. Within hours, they are booked out.
Less than hours,
Less
Sometimes
than hours.
the first couple of hours, they've all gone all day.
And
we've got architects, we've got planning consultants,
Yeah.
we've got energy efficiency experts, we've got, you name it, builders, whatever your question might be about. we've got people here, money, tax, finance, all
I've
related to home
noticed
building and
that-
renovating, not just general tax advice, of course. That's not this show.
No, not this one. But I've noticed that even the experts as well that are on board, these are, after speaking with them, these are experts that have co-joined with this exhibition, and they've been running with it for a long time.
Yeah,
That's testament to how this has been set up and the relationships.
We've got great relationships with not just those experts, but with the Royal Institute of British Architects and lots of organisations that work closely with us, the Federation of Master Builders. You know, we work with the professional associations for each industry and bring those experts onto the advice centre. They give their time for free in the hope that some people might want to meet them later on and perhaps commission them to undertake some work. But most of it is, you know, just out of goodwill, benevolence. But people working here, they love helping people achieve their dream home. And, you know, it's changed my life, and that's kind of why I love helping other people. I started out renovating in London with a small property, and by renovating and extending, I've ended up with our dream home.
Really?
Through hard work, through a lot of stress and strain and sleepless nights and stretching finances.
Yes.
But it's all paid off. And the reality is there are dark moments in any journey where you think, have I bitten off more than I can chew?
Right.
But there is always a solution in construction. There's always a way around, as long as you don't completely run out of money and have to sell it, which, you know, hopefully people are sensible enough to know what they're taking on and to arrange the finance up front. But everything else, there's a solution. There's always a way of solving it, usually by solving it with money.
Yeah.
But, you know, things always end up for the better, and invariably the house is worth, with self-build, the end result's worth on average 30% more than it costs to build.
Oh, really?
So, well, yeah, and that is because it's your principal private residence, tax free.
Ooh.
And of course, new build is zero rated for VAT as well, so you're not paying VAT on a new build.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so it's a fantastic way of working your way up the housing ladder,
Yes.
as long as, of course, it is your own home for you to live in and you're not doing it for a living, in which case you're a developer.
Okay.
And then there's a different world of taxation. You're doing it for a living. That's a different world. But if it's your own home and you spend all the proceeds of the first one on the second one,
Yep.
that's all tax-free, and you can climb the housing ladder.
That's good.
Otherwise, how do you do it? You know, you're lucky enough to inherit, lucky enough maybe to win the lottery. Well, they are one in tens of millions.
Yeah.
But with self-build, each project progressively, you add value,
Yeah.
move on. You've got to be prepared to move. You might need to move in with the in-laws, as I did 3 or 4 times,
Right.
or rent, or live on.
Yes.
I've yet to live on site, but quite a lot of people live on site because it's the cheapest way to put a roof over your head whilst you're building the new roof over your head. And that adds to the stresses and strains as well. But people, they're pioneers. The people who self-build are the pioneering spirit. They're the people who won't compromise. They're the people who want the house the way they want it. The people who are willing to take the risks. The people who want individual design. They want a house that's more energy efficient than they could buy off the shelf. And, you know, they are the people who, and it's a story for life, that's for sure. Don't ever get anybody who's built to talk about their build. You'll never hear the end of it. If you've met somebody who does or has built their own home, you'll already know that.
I know you're trying to tell me about your dream house here, Michael. I know you're trying to put it on the table. I'm not going to let you.
Well, I'd still like to keep on building. It's my wife who likes to settle down.
We do like to settle, though.
Well, I can see, I mean, we live in a lovely village now. We've got great neighbours, and I can see, you know, I don't want to move again for that reason, but I always love a project. So fortunately, I always have projects on because now I do architectural design and build. My wife's an interior designer, so she does the interiors. I do the architectural design, and then we've got a construction business as well. So we can do the whole design, build solution for people.
So
and that
you can
really
still
evolved.
Use those gifts that you've got. You still use those talents.
Absolutely.
Without having to get itchy feet at home.
Exactly, without having to sell up and move again.
Because it's nice to enjoy the fruits of your
especially
labour.
the kids. Yeah, I mean the kids, and my kids are grown up now, they're all in their 20s. But the third project we did, that's the one they think of as home, and always will think of as home, interestingly. Because we only lived there 7 years, but that's the one they think of as home.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting. There's obviously a point in life where, you know, you decide this is the one, this is home, and that's the one that you dream of, and so on. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is a point of settling down, especially at the key stage in kids' lives. Yes, it's nice to keep on moving and work your way up the housing ladder, but at some point you do have to put down roots. It's more than just bricks and mortar.
Yeah, definitely, because it's at that time where they are establishing those memories, making them, but they're staying as concrete memories in their mind as well. I think that's potentially where I am with my family at the moment. And I sort of like yearn to go on to the next stage, which is, we need to make sure they've got enough room because they're growing tall and wide and everything.
Which is perhaps why extending and improving is so popular, because you don't have to move,
Yeah.
you don't change schools, you don't change neighbours, your commute doesn't change,
Yes.
but your house changes.
Yes. I think I just have to get my head around the fact that the garden's just not the size my husband would like it to be.
Might be a blessing in a few years' time.
I don't do gardening anyway, so Michael, it's not my domain. But we could definitely
As long
get
as there's
the
room for a
kitchen
barbecue and a bit of lawn to mow on a weekend.
Yeah, and you know what? We've seen some amazing exhibitors here. The exhibitors that have come to this, and we've got all little bits of golden nuggets, and they've shared all of either their services or their products. There are too many for us to visit, but we have had the ability to be able to see those ones that are shining, or I think we've had to go with our heart, to be honest, to go with, like, what would Jack like, who would Jack like to see, who would I like to see, who would Neil like to see, what is it that would pull us in, and then we've got to think about our customers and our client base who are watching this and what would they like to know, because it's just such a plethora.
It is, and there's so much passion here from the exhibitors. All the new ideas that end up in the mainstream housing market start here in the self-build market.
Wow.
So somebody invents something brilliant. The big house builders, well, they don't know whether it's going to take off or not. They won't put it into the product, especially if it's expensive or costs more money. There's no guarantee of getting that money back in the resale price. But the self-builder thinks, yeah, I need that, I want that. And they will experiment with the built-in entertainment systems.
Yeah.
Underfloor heating started out in the self-build market in the mainstream. Obviously, the Romans had it, so it's not a new idea. They had it 2,000 years ago. But it came back into housing through the self-build market, as has controlled ventilation with heat recovery, so you can really control the climate and the quality of air in the house, which then makes it easier to put cooling in, because now we're getting these really hot summers, global warming, of course. People are starting to consider putting cooling into their house. So, if you want a state-of-the-art house, you've got to build it yourself.
Yes. So this is a state-of-the-art exhibition.
It is. And all the basic stuff in here as well. You don't have to build a state-of-the-art house. You can build a nice, simple, straightforward house, cost-effectively, still beautiful. But if you want all the latest gadgets, or even just to see what the latest gadgets are, because you're in the building trade, for instance, we get loads of builders here, loads of developers. I mean, there is no other show that has all of the latest ideas and products and services for house building for the trade. So the trade come here too.
Yeah, and that's unique because it's normally either trade or it's the layperson that's out on the street. You don't expect to see the two merging together, and this does that very well. Yeah. There is it is pure cohesiveness. There's families here. There's old. There's young. There's trade. There's young couples. There's everybody. You've catered for everybody here. What is it you want to do going forward with this?
Well, I mean, I would like to see more people be able to build their own homes. So, of the 60% of people, plus sometimes, who would like to build their own home, less than 1.5% of people get to go on and do it. Okay. So for a lot of people, they'll watch Grand Designs, they'll start looking for a plot, but all they find are big house builder developments and old houses that are tired, run down, and not very energy efficient. Realistically, we need to unlock that potential. We need to unlock all of that ambition and drive and allow people to build their own homes. Instead of taking every small house that's a bit more affordable and then shaking it up and turning it into a large, unaffordable house, which is what's happening at the moment, we need to let those people build new houses. And in doing so, we will end up with a much more energy efficient housing stock. We will ease the affordability crisis, which is primarily demand and supply. There are people who tell you otherwise, but the reality is the reason we're adding triple tax onto second homes are a tiny minority of buyers. It's because we're not building enough new houses. Right. So all of those young people from 18 to 35 who are outside the housing market, it's the NIMBYs who've put them outside the housing market, because everybody says we want new housing, of course we do, just not anywhere near me, please. We can't all do that, because all we're doing is denying other people a chance to buy an affordable house. Yeah. Now, people are against mass house building and mass estates in lots of areas. If that house building in those areas, particularly suburbs, smaller settlements, villages, were individual houses built by the people who are going to live in them, built to a high quality, and built on a small scale incrementally, so the whole area doesn't change overnight, so the school's not flooded by a new estate, the roads aren't flooded by new cars. If you allow it to grow incrementally, as it did for 2,000 years and longer, you are basically going back to the sort of pace of evolutionary growth that is much more sustainable, much more natural, that builds cohesive communities, rather than, we do need the big housing estates as well. There is a role for both, but at the moment it's out of balance. We only have the major house builders. Even the little medium-sized builders have shrunk to virtually nothing in this country. We need them back, because they build high-quality housing, individual housing that responds to the local vernacular, and we want those. We want individuals to be able to build, and we still need the mass house builders, but their job should largely be building the social housing and be building, because we do need a lot more house to rent, we need a lot more social housing. And they can really focus on the bigger brownfield sites, the blocks of flats, where it's much more difficult to individually build one. So there's a role for everybody, but really we need to be building more houses and unlocking the drive and ambition and money, because this market has got money to deliver those high quality, energy efficient homes. To not do that actually is quite frankly crazy.
And it also, there's that market of people that are desperate to have their own homes, but they just can't get on the homing ladder. So they do need to be exposed to, there is another way. So we need to reach them, Michael.
And to be fair to the government, they have introduced the Help to Build mortgage. You've heard of Help to Buy, that helps people with a 5% deposit to get on the housing ladder through one of the big house builders. They've introduced a scheme called Help to Build. It's not perfect yet.
Okay.
But if they tweak it slightly, it'll mean that you could build your own home with just a 5% deposit. Now that will make it so much more affordable and put it in the reach of so many more people. It could be transformational is a big word. It could transform the market for first-time buyers who want to build their own home. At the moment, really only have the option to buy through Help to Buy, which is of course ending anyway. It's coming to an end.
I didn't know
so
that.
Help to Build will be one of the few ways of getting on the housing ladder with a 5% deposit. But the great thing is that typically with that 20, on average 30% saving, the house is worth 30% more than the cost to build. It will also give people a real slice of equity in their home as well.
So it's exciting.
It is, if we can just get that product right. But we also need to, there's a lot of work being done to get the planning system changed so that there are more individual plots available for people to buy, because that's the fundamental barrier. It's not even the money. It's about the planning permission for individual plots. Every other country in the world has got this sussed out.
Oh, right.
We are the exception.
So why aren't we following best practice for another country?
Germany, over 40%. America, getting on for half of new homes. In Belgium, it's something like 80% of all new homes are actually commissioned by the people who live in them. Often with big builders building them, but they're individually designed rather than being built speculatively and then sold. I mean, there's a role for everything. There is always going to be somebody who says, I need a house tomorrow. I want one that's already built. There's an awful lot of people who want something a little bit different, tailored. It's more complicated, and that's probably why. And also, it's not what we've done for the last 50 years or 100 years. So, but it's changing. Slowly, it is changing.
Because we need to be re-educated, because there's only so much that you can glean from watching the programs and seeing the finished product in 30 minutes on the TV.
Absolutely right. And also, it is television. And television thrives on drama. Television thrives on adversity. And so, of course, the bill goes over budget. Of course, the bill takes too long. Of course, the adverts just before the third break. The windows don't turn up. Will they turn up? Come back and watch the last part. It's fun, isn't it? It's great fun. The reality is that is an awful lot of that is created for television. And most projects go much smoother than that, but it wouldn't make good telly.
I know sometimes it is like they didn't get to do it. Or you do go on a roller coaster of emotions. We're totally invested in that program. I mean, for me, I would like to. That would be something that we would aspire to build in our own home. But the blockage for us is we wouldn't even know where to go to even find the land.
You're in the right place.
We are
here
now.
My beginner's guide.
But it's not readily available, that information. So coming to an exhibition like this really does help. And it's that market, that age group of people that you've just identified, that they're going to find some amazing advice here.
Absolutely right. And it's interesting because, there's a huge amount of information on the internet, but it's all theory and it's, on a screen.
Yeah.
There's magazines full of beautiful glossy photographs, and then exhibitions will never be taken over by the internet, because there's nothing like coming to meet the people who make the products, coming to see, feel, touch the products, coming to listen to an expert, tell you the information and answer your questions. There will always be a role for live events. I'm absolutely convinced of that, and it's also great fun.
I love live events. I love meeting people. You are right, there's nothing better. We can only get so much from the internet, but to come here and to see and to meet and to touch and to have all of your senses invoked in the whole experience. And actually, if you're at a bit of a patch in the project and it's gone a bit stagnant, you just come to this, and just having those 15 minutes.
Yeah. I've met lots of people who said, we've been dreaming of doing this for years, but now we've come to this show. This is the catalyst that's got us going again, and now we're going to get on with it. Inspiration, ideas, and the main theme is that expert advice. Not just from the Ask the Experts here, not just from the seminar programs, but every single exhibitor at this show.
Yeah.
They're the experts in their area.
They are.
It's all here available.
So people must come.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're planning a project, planning a self-build, or just dream of a self-build, it's a great place to start. If you've got a project on, then a visit here is just time so well spent. I cannot advise strongly enough that come along and you will not regret it.
So we've started in Farnborough, and we've got 6 other locations.
We're moving on to NEC for 4 days at the end of March.
I'm glad you said 4 days.
Birmingham.
I was
It's a
wondering how you were
4-day
going to
show.
fit it all in.
We then go to Scotland, up in Glasgow at the SECC. From there, we move back to Sandown Park in Esher. Always a fantastic show, that one. And then from there, we go to London and London Excel for 3 days, followed by a trip up north to Harrogate and the Harrogate Exhibition Centre. Again, I'm from the north originally. I love Harrogate, and Yorkshire is a great place to go for a weekend, never mind the show. And then we end up down in the southwest of England at the Bath and West Showground in Shepton Mallet just before Christmas, before we start again here at Farnborough, and the cycle goes round again.
Wow. I can see you love it, Michael.
It's that being on tour, isn't it?
You look like just a little bit balls in your face. I can see it drives you, and you're so passionate about it.
I love meeting people. I love helping them to, really fulfill their dreams and ambitions. When you see people and what it does for them, and then when they come back to the show later on and say, we did what you said, and really, that's amazing, and they show you the house, and which reminds me of one story of somebody who came to see me years ago. And they had this little painting with them of a castle with a moat on an island with a house on it. And he started chatting to me, and I thought, here we go, because we do get some fantasists at these shows. And I did dismiss this guy, thinking, here we go. I didn't take him that seriously. Got a picture of a castle on an island and a moat around it. He's a proper fantasist. Must have been 5 years later. I see the guy again. I think I tried to disappear. Don't want to catch his eye. It's Michael. Showed me a photograph from the same angle. He's built the castle. You've built the island, dug the moat, built the island, built the castle, built the ultimate dream home. It's absolutely astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. They say an Englishman's home is his castle. This guy is the living embodiment of that story.
Wow. So never dismiss what comes on the table, because you just
lesson learned. If you dream it, you can do it.
Why not? And it all starts here.
It all starts here.
So, what a pleasure. What an absolute pleasure, Michael. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
I've enjoyed chatting to you, Dee. It's been great fun.
Thank you. And good luck with the end today of closing the whole show down.
Thank you.
And going on tour. And hopefully we're going to see you again.
Absolutely.
And we're going to catch up.
Look forward to meeting everybody at the shows. Of course, come to the experts. Do turn up early if you want to have an appointment with the experts. Of course, the seminars are much more available. You can just drop into any of the seminar programs throughout the day. But yeah, it's fun working here, and I hope to meet lots of you here at the shows.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's been great. And should we do this again sometime?
Of course, definitely so.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michael.
Take care.
Here at SMJ Media Group, we are a non-profit company providing fun, free content for local businesses. If you like our content and would like to support us, please visit buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group and buy us a coffee.